This morning's breakfast Bible bite comes from Psalm 74, verses 2 and 3. Verse 2 reads, "Remember your congregation which you have purchased of old, which you have redeemed to be the tribe of your inheritance, and this Mount Zion, where you have dwelt." In this psalm, if this psalm were written by David or Asaph in Asaph's time, it would by its very nature be prophetic, as it appears to be written contextually about a structure, a substantial structure, yet to be built, and not merely the tabernacle or tent that was erected on Mount Zion during David's reign. It is written with a semblance of urgency, a plea for God to remember and protect his inheritance, all of those he has redeemed from the days of the patriarchs. For our information, the Mosque of Omar is built on Solomon's temple site, which is on Mount Moriah and not on Mount Zion. Remember your flock which is being devoured by grievous wolves, and since no earthly prince would ever relinquish his dominion, the psalm petitions the King of Kings to erect a bulwark and maintain his sovereign rights against all interlopers. Should God allow his possession to be torn from him? Does this psalm look so far into the future that it sees both Israel and the church as one, a redeemed, blood-bought tribe of inheritance? Israel was redeemed by the Paschal Lamb and the blood smeared on the doorpost of their homes as the angel of death passed over. But the blood-bought church is redeemed on Calvary by the precious blood of Christ over the doorpost of our hearts. Eventually, Israel will accept this propitiation of Christ. Zechariah 12:10 reads, "Then I will pour out a spirit of grace and prayer on the house of David and the residents of Jerusalem, and they will look at me, whom they have pierced. They will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and weep bitterly for him as one who weeps for the firstborn." Throughout history, satanically inspired minions have attempted to destroy both Israel and the church. Here the psalmist prays that God would not forget Jerusalem in her present time of desolation and trouble. Shall the sacred temple of Jehovah be desecrated by heathens, and the throne of the great king be defiled by his enemies? The center of the earth and the throne of God's sovereignty is found in Israel, more specifically in Jerusalem, and pinpointed at Mount Zion. Yet for the church in this dispensation, the center of God's authority is in the heart of the believer, where the Spirit of God dwells. Will he leave either to become a haunt for the devil? If he has sanctified us by his indwelling and mind-renewing Holy Spirit, it would be anti-biblical to think that in spite of everything, he would even consider vacating his throne. At times, it may seem as if God allows the wicked to chasten his children, but he himself has said in Hebrews 13:5-6, "I will never leave you or forsake you." Therefore, we may boldly say, "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me?" This New Testament passage is merely a confirmation of what has already been written in Deuteronomy 31:6. "Be strong and courageous. Don't be terrified or afraid of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you." Verse 3 of Psalm 74 reads, "Turn your footstep toward perpetual ruins. The enemy has damaged everything within the sanctuary." Prophetically, this passage may look forward to our day or backward to the historical past and the destruction wrought by the Babylonian invasion of Israel, or the forces of Antiochus Epiphanes in 175 BC. As we noted in the introduction, it may point to the destruction wrought by Titus in 70 AD, or even reach further into our future, pointing to the blasphemous reign of the Antichrist during the Great Tribulation. Because our God is outside of time and space as we know it, the passage may very well be a triple entendre, referring to all three, but at a moment in time. Until the Lord turns his footstep toward the ruins and desecration of his sanctuary, it will seem as though the evil intrusion will remain perpetually, Only his presence could cure the evil wrought by the enemy. Therefore the Lord is implored to hasten with uplifted feet, which implies stomping the enemy into perpetual desolation. Did you notice that it is the sanctuary which the enemy has profaned? Could this also apply to the sanctuary in our hearts, where the Spirit of God tabernacles? We read about the New Testament temple of God in 1 Corinthians 3:16. All of you together are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God lives in you.